we are preparing to live stream. We are now live streaming. Good evening, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. So we're just going to give it a minute or two while we wait for people to come on. I'm just going to share the link. Here we go. So how are you, beautiful people, this evening? Okay. There we go. Hello, Tina. Hello, Adina. Hello, you beautiful people. If you could do me a huge favor, if you could please just share this link into a few different groups. Hi, Glenda. Oh, lovely. Glenda is always with us. It's wonderful. And so is Tina, actually, and Adina. So, yeah, welcome, guys. Lovely to have you with us. So we've got Michelle as well. So little one is in bed.
Yeah, he's the earlier he goes, the better he goes off. Yes.
Fantastic. Excited little man.
Oh, always.
Bless him. And how is beautiful Spain? We'll just wait for people to come on, so we'll just have a little bit of chit chat.
It's raining, but previous to that, it's been lovely and sunny. We've had the blue skies, completely clear, and just temperatures now are just nice, warming up, 21 to 23 degrees.
Beautiful.
Time to plan.
Fabulous.
Yeah, the spring is here.
The spring is here. Excellent. Okay, we've got quite a few people joining us, which is fantastic. So tonight we are talking about charity. So this is the second virtue in our series. Obviously, we have done patience last week, and the week before that, or the 2 weeks before that, was the welcome. So tonight we are going to be talking about charity. But just before we start, Josh, like Michelle and I and you were talking about these incredible scenes that we saw in London at the weekend. They're reckoning, it's so interesting. They reckon 1 million people were in London. Not one mention of it on the BBC.
Wow. We know that they work for that corporation that wants it to be quiet, but social media is more powerful than the BBC nowadays, so hopefully it's doing its rounds and it's getting into the minds of the masses, which is going to make a big difference. Now all they need is some direction and where to turn, so hopefully we can shed some light there.
So do you take this as a positive sign for humanity, that we've got all of these incredible...
Positive. It's definitely a positive thing. I just feel like when someone wakes up to the fact that they've been lied to, they can have a slight anger inside of them, which drives them. But these have been peaceful, as you've been saying, which is wonderful. Again, they're asking for something. They're asking for freedom, or they're asking for something to change, when truly the change is within inside of them. So if people could direct that energy inside and then start to create together, the 1 million people that were marching around there would have a significant amount of power just within themselves and make a huge shift instantaneously together. So the people are the power, the people go to work, they do the shops, they do the building, and they help the function of the matrix itself. So they are the power, and they have the chance to change everything.
And I think this is where we are definitely going, because I think, you know, when you first wake up, like you said, you kind of have to come to terms with the fact that everything you've been taught is a lie. And it's...
You think that, don't you? You think that, and then the more you progress, the more you actually see that everything is a lie. Everything
is a lie. And then, as you said, the more you even progress from that, you realise actually it's divinely planned.
Yeah. I think what we want to avoid doing is pushing ourselves further away from each other. We want to like unite. So I think the kind of care and guidance that we can give the other beings on, you know, we don't want to create this red shift, blue shift, pushing each other away from each other. We want to try and unite, because united we stand and divided we fall. So we want to kind of create that neutral activation within us, that balance, and bring everyone towards each other and try and unite. And that's what I think if the peaceful protesting is remaining that calm, and like without the anger and the, you know, the all the sin side of things, I think that's bringing us closer together as a unified oneness rather than dividing, you know, us and them kind of thing. So we want it to be not the constant battle of this versus that, and the pro versus the anti. Is like the united, the neutral balance and the calm and the peacefulness that we want to bring out in everyone, rather than it be like a aggressive kind of act more so.
Get lost in their emotions, can't you? So,
yeah.
As well, if we remember that the governments are just corporations. So if you're going into a corporation in the UK, such as Tesco, asking for it to change is going to be kind of hard because it's fragmented and compartmentalized. So no one really knows what's going on. It just happens to be a trail of paper. And that's all that's happening within the system. So truly, we are the system. We hold it together by our choices that we make. So all we need to do is have that understanding and make these right choices, the virtuous choices, and bring it into balance. And this is quite a simple shift if we can get the right logic to it. It's all functioning fine right now. The only things that are getting us in the way are the legalities, and most of the things that are legalities are penal, which is the pen side of things. And everything related to the pen need not be there, because it's the actions that we take that create. So
but I think as awareness, I was just say, as awareness rate rises, people understand that they can take their money and use it outside of, you know, the big corporations, and they can use their money at local short shops rather than funding these big organizations that are effectively controlling everything.
Yeah.
But just to go back to your original point, I was going to say it's so peaceful there. People are singing, you know, they're singing and chanting, and the only problems have been where the police have come in, but almost causing problems for then putting the snippets on mainstream media. Like the only thing I found was on The Guardian, and it literally said, you know, police brutalized in, you know, and it was just
we must remember at these times as well, the police, they're only acting through fear, and they don't truly know inside of themselves. So we must have some care and compassion. And even though there's a stage of ourselves that sees the police as the enemy, the police is just a structure, and they are doing what they're told because the level of their awareness has brought them to that position. And they also have a heart, a family, and a journey.
absolutely.
And the compassion towards the police, I think, will free the police, and that will bring the virtuous life to them, which will allow them to leave the position and no longer need the policing and the governing that people see when they go to these events. Because, you know, every stage of awareness, I think a certain type of government and a certain type of policy is needed, because people can't leave themselves out of the way until there's another structure, which is this new shift that we're all walking in towards now. So I think there's going to be great changes over the next few years. And if this is brought to light, that the COVID is as a farce, and the vaccines are creating something separate that's never been done before, almost like an AIDS slowly degrading bacteria that eats away the body over time. And the viruses aren't transmitted, they are within inside, and they're there to attack the bad bacteria that we have inside of us from unhealthy lifestyles. And all of these catchable diseases are not even true. You cannot catch diseases, you develop them through poor nutrition, poor mental thinking, and environmental factors.
Well, I truly believe that's where we're going, and I can't see these demonstrations getting any smaller. Like literally, the numbers were incredible at the weekend, and I think they're planning on doing. I think this, I want to say, 15th of May is the next one. So they're doing them on a regular basis, and I think they're just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So
just peaceful. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Keep the peaceful nature towards everything. Be the virtuous, and as Gandhi said, it was peaceful non-compliance. In any situation, you'll find yourself getting to the point of freedom.
Well, I think the other thing that people are really switching on to is like the protests at the weekend. You know, the police were trying to break them up, and they just used their numbers to push them back peacefully.
Yeah.
So it was not, there was no problems. They just literally, the pure number of people, the police couldn't do anything because there wasn't enough of them. So, it's a good kind of, it was peaceful, and it was fantastic that people were kind of understanding that actually there is a lot more of us than there is of them.
Yeah, we don't hear anything like that, do we? So it's nice that
No.
you bring it to light for us. I will say within Spain, and hats off to the UK and America and these Western parts of the world, is they felt the oppression for such a long time. They have eyes. And out here in Spain, we don't really feel like many people have the eyes to see past the system. They're kind of fallen trapped to it, and they're happy where they are. And they have a real strong belief in this COVID, even the youth. So,
well, I think it's the media again, isn't it? Like, if you look, they haven't been putting any of this, like 1 million people protesting in London and nothing on the mainstream media. Like they were saying thousands. They know that obviously that's where people look. But yes, okay, so we've got some good numbers. So I just wanted to touch on that before we got into tonight's episode. So tonight we are going to be talking about charity and blowing, I suppose, some of the myths off it, because often I think people can get into this scarcity mindset. Oh, I don't have a lot, so I should keep it all to myself. So can we talk a little bit about why charity is such an important virtue that we should be following or doing?
Yeah, definitely. Our energy centers are key into the development and freeing ourselves from the egoic mindset that controls us in our lower 5 senses. And charity being obviously a main virtue. With charity, or the opposite of charity, we feel as you said, a real scarcity mindset. This scarcity mindset has a vibrational pull, or a magnetic pull, and that set vibration that you feel draws that energy towards you. And that essence that it brings is trying to teach. So this is where life itself is the greatest teacher. That vibration within inside of you is only going to continue to draw up these scenarios of scarcity and lack of abundance. So to free that is then going to allow the abundance to flow within you and give you the light that you seek. So to give is actually to receive. And see, without the charity itself, you will never find the connection to the source or to God. And it's one of those steps within the ladder of Jacob, within this climate system that we have, that is truly going to open up the doorway and the portal to free the mind from its blocks, free the energy center that's giving you everything you've ever desired. Is there anything you want to say for charity?
So I feel like the opposing, like the sin for charity is the greedy. And greedy makes hungry puppy. That was one of the sayings we had when we were little. And the mindset of like, I want it all and I want it now is like, it's really becoming the norm for a lot of people. They've got like access to credit and unlimited resources of fast food, and everything's now with a touch of a button, and no one's really stopping and centering themselves and thinking how it impacts not just their life but others around them, their children, nature. Being like charitable is not just gathering all your material possessions and having this like carbon footprint on the earth. It's like about really giving back to the earth, the beings around us, and the children, like nurturing the children, giving them the attentiveness that we should be having, like gentle care and guidance. I speak of quite a lot with the children, and a lot of people aren't giving them that charitable feeling that they feel loved and cared for. They just give them an iPad or a laptop or the next new game console or something, and they just sit them there and expect them to be nice and kind, and it's not going to work like that. The charity within needs to be expressed and reciprocated, and then that's when it comes back to you when you're in need as well. So I really believe that's
your time is the greatest charity. To give someone your true time and your true attention is to create a sacred bond and a sacred union in that moment between two energies. You can bring out the God in anyone. if you can choose to bring the God out in you, you'll see this amazing opening between these two individuals. And a dialogue that happens is so separate from an egoic conversation and egoic chat. And in that moment, you will feel the energies uplift you and you'll become enlightened. And that residual memory that hangs over from that interaction will slowly increase your vibration. And the more that you can practice these things, they integrate into your awareness. And then the old ways leave you.
We're not just talking about charity within from a financial perspective, though. What you're saying is the distinction is that you can be charitable in your actions and your behaviors towards every single individual.
Charity within the currency side is the main illusion that we have, because we're so focused on giving the material things, but it's not truly charitable.
I think with giving is so much more pleasing to the soul and the spirit to give like fruit or make someone, like we've done before, we've made someone raw cakes and took them that, or food, like prepared some food for someone. If you're actually doing the act of giving, it is so much more pleasing to the soul to do that kind of thing for someone, rather than hand them over like just some currency, so that the act of giving in that way is, we find, is so
on our
much
little
more.
journey, didn't we, at the start, not really at the start, but when we started to get into the camper van, as we were traveling Europe to help people heal themselves, we always used to put a sign outside saying, if anybody has any diseases, we can heal them 100%, please not. And we'd leave a whole box of fruit outside and let people come and take fruit.
And they'd be like, is this honestly for free?
Can
we take this? Can we give you something in return? And we're just like, oh no, it's it's for you, it's our gift. And the gratitude that they have for that, and that energy then gets reciprocated back into us, and we've got a load of little angels with us,
You're releasing so many of these demons, these attachments or thought forms that have been with you for so many years. It just creates a flow of energy within your system that can't be explained.
So what would your advice be to somebody who, say, let's go back to the kind of financial aspect. So someone who is worried financially about living kind of on a monthly basis, because really what we have to do is learn to trust and trust the universe, basically, and allow that flow to come through us. But how could somebody incrementally kind of build up to getting to that point where they completely can trust in the flow of the universe?
But I think initially for me it would be, look at what areas you're spending your flow on, because a lot of these things can be greatly decreased. Like when Josh said, when we first got in the van, we were literally, because none of us were working, we didn't have no income at all, we didn't rely on the benefits of the state or anything like that, so we really had to look at what are we spending money on. We don't want all of this material baggage, so we decreased our outgoing so much. We really looked at what we were spending that money on and where we could really cut down, and
even sharing a phone, sharing a phone.
Yeah.
And not only does that sharing of a phone create so many other ripples within the awareness of everyone surrounded. You see, the fact that most people have a block within their mind of trust. And even the fact of sharing this phone allows all the contacts to come in and to let go of things and to see the trust build up within a relationship. Because sometimes people reacting or acting from the ego mind, they tend to just drift off and play with other energies when it's not necessary. You need to really focus on what's happening inside of your experience here, because if you love someone once, then that capability will always remain. It's just the thoughts and the belief and the build-up of expectations that you have with your partner that has basically come to such a point that you feel like you need to search for something that feeds the ego. So I would say, to trust is a hard thing, to trust your experience, but the acceptance and surrender in the moment of each time that you have a thought that appears is key. So if you have a thought, then it comes about the situation. If I leave my job to try to go to have this experience, to try and bring forth what I truly seek, but there's a slight fear. This is just a thought that's appearing within you, within the scarcity mindset. And as a part of your evolution, it must be overcome. But the higher selfhood inside of you is trying to bring you to this space so you can open up and unlock your experiences. Because otherwise you stay static, still in stasis, which is not going to increase or add to your vibration on your journey. And the hero's journey is all about the accumulation and higher energies and freeing up your energy center. So in any moment, if you feel the mind take over and you feel scarcity or you feel like there is lack of abundance, just accept the feeling, accept the emotion that has come with it. You need to move forward in your thinkingness and see past these illusions or blocks and just try. You have to surrender to be able to experience it.
So really, it's our thoughts.
The only freedom that you get, isn't it? The freedom only comes from that. So
it's not true, is it? That's the thing. You must come to the realization that it's not true. These are all concepts. Fear is the driving force of the ego, and see, love is completely surrendering to this oneness. And as you are, which you seek, and the God is inside of you, covered up by the content that you've experienced, or concepts and beliefs, the only way you're going to truly find yourself is by taking these off. So this is the key to everything and every vibrational increase that you need to find. Thus, the higher selfhood inside of you, that's inside of everyone, the guardian angel you could call it, is never going to allow you to go without. Never. Even if you can replay any situation that you've been in, whether you have let your intellectual mind come into any of these experiences, you've always been looked after. You've always been taken care of. You think, well, why did I worry so much? Now you need to stop the worry and have the faith in yourself and be guided by what's speaking to you initially from the heart, because the mind will always deceive you.
So being led by our hearts.
It always speaks first, you see. If someone says, I don't know the difference between my heart and my mind, then the heart will initially speak, and then the mind will jump in and try to create the scenarios from previous experiences or beliefs that it has.
It's a very close time, though. You've really got to be in tune with it, like your intuition, your gut feeling. You're always right when you're in that space. If you kind of take that second thought, that's when it becomes the problem.
How to identify that is something which, if you could just close your eyes and if you ask yourself what you've had for lunch in your mind, and hear the mind, and notice that it's not the physical body that's hearing it, but it's perceived and heard. So the body itself is totally separate from this mind that you hear and speak in, is creating this dialogue. And then above that, there is a perception or a perceiver that is observing this. So as you start to fragment your awareness from the body, from the mind, the spiritual mind, the ego mind, these are also two separate things. There is one thing that's observing all of this. This is the self. This is the angel. This is your guardianship. And this is making sure that everywhere that you go, you're truly looked after, while the rest of these functions interact and usually get in the way of your experience and manifesting at will experiences that you wish to have within the physical realm.
But another, coming on from that point there as well, another act of charity is, like a universal level, is like giving people like prayers and well wishes, even if they're not with you, like, really feel it, like thinking and feeling towards them as a reciprocation of energy. If they're not feeling too great or anything like that, of giving them some energy from afar, it still works as a charitable
even if
act.
Someone's come into your shop and they've stolen from you, there's an underlying issue of why that has been stolen from you. Now the entity there is going through some serious pain. They may be hungry. They may not have the level to be honest and to speak out. They may not wish to go on the street, but there's a lot of emotional content going on. Now, if you find someone in that situation stealing from you, see that and come to that realization, bring them in and cook them a meal, and you'll see the God within inside that being, and also your life will open up. And it's an instantaneous opening up.
Yeah. If you act in the other way of the sin, then that's when you get the reciprocation of negative energy from what they've actually done to you, you get that that feeling of like, oh, they've done this to me, I feel like this, and that's when you get those negative reciprocations of energy, rather than changing that to a positive and seeing what the problem actually is, the root cause of it, and trying to help this being. You're acting in the virtuous way, and really seeing that light inside of someone and that pain that they're actually feeling, and being the charitable one to take on board that higher level of understanding and being able to help that being.
Behind every sinner there is a winner.
I like that. So what's the sin that corresponds to charity? Is there a particular
It's greed, yeah.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
greed.
greed.
Okay.
Greed, yeah.
But I suppose
Greedy makes a hungry puppy.
but what you're saying, Michelle, is effectively if someone kind of does something wrong, or does you wrong per se, you have a choice. You either then react to that, which really what you have to understand is then you're reacting, that energy will just come back to you, or you can stop it and just go into the virtuous mode and basically
it's about stopping that cycle, isn't it? That cycle of negativity. If you keep it going, it just gets reciprocated somewhere else again. So like you're moving, then you're going to go home and tell your partner or your children, oh, this happened to me today, and then they're going to feel some kind of vibration, and then it goes out into the universe. And if you stop it there and then and really understand what's happening, that's when you stop the cycle of negativity and move on to the righteous path.
Because the issue is you.
Within you and within the universe.
So I love that. I think that's really powerful for our listeners to practice, actually, because so humans, I've noticed, humans love, if somebody moans, somebody will also moan. It's almost like we drop our vibration and we have to go, oh, well, because they're moaning, I'm going to join them. So one of the things we talk about in our Dharma programs, if somebody does that to them, you go, okay, I understand. And then you just say something really virtuous or uplifting, and you're not going to engage with them and lower your vibration.
It's like a lot of hairdressers, personal trainers, and people like this, they tend to have the offload of most people going in there because they truly don't know necessarily what to say. So they're always offloading their emotional content onto someone else, which is trying to free them, but they don't know how to free themselves. And that acceptance and surrender is so key within all of your aspects of the mind. I think it's very important at any given moment when you feel your energy, you have to just accept it. Look around you, take a good breath, and see that all of those things that are happening to you are just aspects of belief trapped within the mind as a thought that has not yet been freed. And you need to exercise those demons by the virtuous nature of being.
So rather than end up reciprocating the demon, like reverberating the demon, what you're saying is that you would basically stop the reverberation of negativity by being virtuous and shifting.
Otherwise it continues to reflect itself around every dimension within this life. Could you imagine if you were young, you were hungry, you were frightened, but you had to eat, or you had a child and you had to feed them, or even the aspect of the kindness, for example, you went to steal something, you got caught, but yet that one supplied you with the food that you needed. Could you see that instant in there would change the whole life experience of the being that stole from you? Because you've opened up a portal, that being has seen kindness in its true nature, seen God.
How powerful. That would change that person's life.
Forever. Thus changing your life, freeing up your abundance as well, but knowing that everyone that's external to you is truly an aspect of yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Do unto others as you do unto yourself.
Yeah, love thy neighbor.
So charity is powerful. So we've got charity from a financial perspective, we've got charity from a time perspective, we've got charity from an energy perspective. I love that, Michelle, what you said about sending energy, to a person, if they're in a bad position or place, or, even if you've had a sort of interaction which hasn't been so positive, then to send them charitable energy.
Love thy enemy,
Yeah, they sometimes, they're just acting off of pure ego, and they don't understand necessarily what they're like we've said before, we need to nurture the child within them. We need to think of them as children rather than these beasts that they're portraying on the outside, because that's not the way that they are naturally. They've just been taught this way,
And
or
they
they've
react to
had
fear. It's the fear that's
blocks. Yeah.
driving these people to a
Yeah.
point.
Especially at the moment, you know, this is it's such a, you know, with clever psychological manipulation, because you've got half the population who think, you know, actually they're harming people by not wearing a mask, and the rest of the population are like, no, this doesn't actually exist. But it's real kind of confrontation between the two, and obviously us as the awakened ones need to then be very loving and supporting and accepting of where they are in their journey.
Yeah. We've got to stop no one needs to react in the sinful way and like react to it, because you're creating that cycle again that we're trying to talk about. We need to stay that centered, peaceful, calm, virtuous being that we all are in our true self.
Non-reactive. Any act is identified as a persona. It's the mask. It's not the true self. The self is unreactive. So if you're constantly reacting to scenarios, you need to just take a second to see what's truly happening. Everything is happening for you, not to you. So even the fact that an experience is happening, there's another level behind that experience, that if you can be subtle and see, then you're going to be able to open up your eyes to see the energy work that's going on for you, to expand your awareness and to bring freedom to you, because you're staying static, which a lot of people have done previous to this experience now, and just accepted the mortgages, houses, and food shops and been recycled. We are more than this. Our experience has surpassed this. It's time to transcend the ego and every desire that it has. So freeing these desires is freeing the self that's inside of you.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Michelle, do you have any treats for us with Charity and the numerology?
I do, yeah. Sorry, let me just move this one. So
we also look at the Charity. We can see the C is synonymous and similar to the S, so it's like share it. You can share it, and the Y represents choice, left and right.
So we've got all the corresponding numbers here, and it is a total of 84. So underneath here, I've got the 8 and the 4 is HD, which is high definition. So like when we think of high definition, we think we see clear, we got clear sound and clear vision. And this is what we're aiming for here. And this is what the virtues really do for us. They open up those energy flows so that we can get that clarity and that feeling of freedom, not just on a personal level, but a universal level. And if we really focus on that freedom within and that balance and that peace, that's when we really gain that crown, that purple crown. And we can break down the numbers into the 8 and the 4. So the 8 is like our vibration, our climbing 8, the rising of the serpents within, and meeting and opening those energy systems. And then the 4, we've got the like the square, the box, the matter. And we've, if you look at the 4 as itself is like the cardinal points, the states of matter.
And then the word itself of 4, if F is the 6, which is the matter, then you can see hour. So it's hour, matter. And then that's why you would have 4 and form. They are very phonetically similar, but the N is on the end, which represents the mother.
You've got like it's a very like worldly number 4. So if you think of the 4 climbing up to the 8, I've got this little diagram here. So when we come on to the 4 here is like the square, or when we say the box, isn't it? Like the 4D, the box.
Sorry about the little writing, but even in the word box, you see the ox.
Okay.
We have the Oxford Dictionary, but if you see the ox, you can move them together, and you have the Easter cross, and the Easter cross itself is representing the circle with the 4 elements. The outside circle is a surrounding void or womb, which is the ether, And the ox itself that's what it represents, the void, the imbalance. So always trying to bring centered balance to your experience. Any given moment is the freedom.
So what we're trying, so with the 4 and the 8, so if we merge these two together, like I showed you on the last one, so the 4 is moving on to the 8, which is where we climb, and we come here to the 9, and that is like what we were saying about the true climb 8 at the top. And then if you do actually add these two numbers together, this is where we get the 12 and the L, we become the L. So the 12 is the top chakra here, so that's the one that's added together. So the 12 there at the top, which is at the crown chakra, so that's where we get the light and our activation. So all of these little keys through numerology and etymology are just again helping us to open through the virtuous life, the virtuous X life, the balanced within is what we're bringing forth for the
life is synchronized to a point that if you have the eyes to see it, there is nothing that will go amiss. Everything itself is connected. And I don't just mean neuro pathways and this experience is this one ether field. I mean every aspect of language, numerology, experiences that you have. So the box itself, and then we can move to another word that we've been given, is a square.
Yeah.
If you look at this, you be an ox, okay? You be ox, you're boxed. And the journey of us is to circle the square, okay?
Yeah, okay.
In the word square, you can see SQUR.
Yeah.
So you are a square. You are the finite.
You are a square.
And Q represents balance. And I've just written the cabal here because it's spelled with 3 different letters, depending on how you've read the C, the K, and the Q. Able is obviously to become able. But the SQ is the sine wave balanced. You are. And the only remedy for the square is to become balanced, to free yourself from the box, which is the cross.
Wow.
Unfolded.
Wow.
And all of these numbers actually link through a system of like true enlightenment, you know, for the alpha and the omega, the A to Z, A to Z. This is how we climb through the steps, and the virtues will take us through the pathways to enable us to reach all of these. And
able is the word, is the able, is to enable.
And it's just mind-blowing that there's this infinite intelligence, that there's these synchronicities that run through everything.
A river of God. It is pure divine matrix. It is something that when you have the eyes to see it, you cannot speak of it because it seems so unfamiliar to most people. These have to be granted to you by your actions. And once you take the action, you see.
The more virtuous you become, the more you will see that these interactions, basically.
This is why the virtuous life is the way to open up the veil of drama, physicality, to the spiritual side. And these eyes that you see are for tuning, and this is your fortune.
So the virtues open the energy centers, but they also raise the vibration and also raise your consciousness level effectively.
They give the intellect a sight to see that there is not just matter. There is a play between matter and spirit, and there is a dimension which is subtle. Again, the word subtle, you see sub, TLE. And to be sub is to be below. T is the physical, L of ether. So all of these subtle things are below. And this is why if one is seeking for the self, it's non-objective. You are the subject. And
you create your own world, your own earth, because what, like we said with the reciprocation of energy, what you give out is what you get back. And this is how you create. We are creators. You know, we all are God. We have God within us. We have the light, but we just need to know how to activate it. And this is our charitable event, is that we need to share it with everyone. And this is really important, that all the beings that are able to see this through the third eye connection, through the inner sight, they need to spread the love and be the light and that's what people will be guided by, and that's what people will want to follow and want to be with and be around and be like, because they will see that light and want to reciprocate that energy. You know, people that are living in the darkness and the shadows that won't confront that side are the ones that are truly lost, and they need to be guided. And this is where we and lots of other people that we've been around are really heading towards. You know, Aloise, you're spreading so much, you know, on your channel as well, that it's really helping guide a lot of beings towards the righteous path, and it's really lovely to see.
Fast track. There's so many years that could be wasted searching in the wrong spaces, but the true freedom is only found within you.
I think that is the biggest thing for me, and you know, with your guys' help, you know, I think that is the thing I really want to help people pop out of the illusion, you know, because like you said, people just can lose themselves all their life in it.
Stop getting stuck on one thing. You know, a lot of people, they find one thing and they think, oh, you know, I'll stay with this because I feel like kind of comfortable in this zone now. I've learned a lot about it. I feel comfortable. Leave it. Once you know it, you know, leave it, move on to the next stage of your evolution and your transcendence. And really,
through multiple stages of the evolution of myself, there was a point where my intellectual mind was such a powerful thing. It was so powerful, wasn't it?
Like it almost takes over you because you're so in that world, you know, of like, I think that's where I kind of helped Josh a little bit, because, you know, he was so, you know, he helped me so much on my journey initially, because I was like, you know, I've been sheltered a lot from this side of things, you know, from everything really. And Josh was like, look at this, look at that, which was great, you know, but
I knew everything, yet I knew nothing.
And it was so up there that we had to then come back and, you know, almost start again, because you're like, right, forget all that and let's really work on the inner strength.
What's serving you with this high, powerful intellectual mind is something only within the physical. And to be able to move forward to that spiritual aspect that truly is there, it's the unforeseen forces that drives your existence. You have to let go. So now I may seem, when I speak, something that people may not understand, or they may not think I'm going into, you know, something that serves them, but I'm here to point you on your journey, to show you the truth, and it will shortcut you to the space that you really need to be in, whether you can hear it or not. But the intellectual mind tends to be fed, and it feels good within the egoic space to present that information over and over and over again, but that's truly your trap. That's your trap. Surrender.
Absolutely. But I think, you know, this is the wonderful thing about what we're doing here, is we can save people a lot of time, energy, effort and money by not getting lost. And obviously you guys are, you know, very you've lived your journey, you know, and I think that's what humanity is going to need. Like my real hope when I saw the protest this weekend is, you know, people will have a listening for this stuff where they didn't before. Like I remember when I used to talk about purpose and dharma and, you know, being in alignment with who you are at soul level, like 5 years ago, and people just thought I was nuts. You know, and now people have a listening for it because they've spiritually awoken. And so, you know, what we're doing with the Virtuous X life and the program, and, you know, it's going to shortcut people's enlightenment journeys, basically.
If you find aggravation, there is something that you need to work on. If information or someone's vocal nature of spirituality is bringing energy, expression inside of yourself, you need to free it. You need to free it and find out why. And all of these sensory perceptions that we have are only for this embodiment and our path to enlightenment, freedom.
So I think that's something else I've kind of picked up of you guys recently, because I've always been like, oh, we create our reality, and, you know, we absolutely are divine human creators. But I think what I really love is, obviously what I picked up from you guys, is every single thing that happens to us is showing us something. Every single thing. Like,
if you can see it, you have ultimate awareness.
It's beautiful. It's divine.
But it's bonkers. Like now I see it. It's bonkers.
Yes, and how quickly did it integrate into your awareness once you were able to just see and really truly see? It's not long.
Well, it blows my mind. Like, I suppose I've always been very interested in this, the emotional and physical connection. So, for example, if someone has dis-ease, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine, and I won't tell her name because she wouldn't thank me. But basically, I was saying, well, we've got to move forward, you know, in her business and everything. And she was experiencing ingrown toenails, and of course, ingrown toenails are about not moving forward. You know, so our body is sending us all these signs and these signals that we don't even appreciate and we don't realize, because we don't understand that every single thing that happens to us is for our evolution, moment to moment.
Yeah, constantly, always, every vibration that you must break this until you're completely immersed and embodied with this whole creative force, God.
It's like we often laugh, don't we, at it, because there's lots of things that even when we spend our money and stuff, it's like we're getting some fruit for giving over a piece of paper and stuff like that, and it's like a very funny
concept
feeling to like be aware of, you know, what's actually going on and how you see through all of those little
stepping outside
things.
of the, you know, this identity and seeing how pretend, how fake, how childish it all really truly is, and how people not necessarily, you know, can see these things, but it is very young awareness.
And that's why you know, when you spoke of the police and stuff earlier on, it's like they are doing what they believe and what they have been taught and programmed to believe is right, and what they feel like they need to be doing, and we need to be very, you know,
kind,
and careful around them, because they,
virtuous,
you know, they are only doing what they believe is right.
Acting.
So,
they go home, they open up a tin of baked beans and put it on their toast. That's the level of awareness that's been inside of them, and you know, they just need a hand up. So why don't we be charitable and help them see why love?
They'll feel it and they'll sense it.
We appreciate what they do. We appreciate what they do because they're just lost, and they are this system that is helping people free themselves.
And it comes back to the virtues again, the charity, and, you know, really spending that time to be kind and considerate.
And you are only chained when you believe it. And this is the policy, this is the police, this is the system that's there because they have no true rights over you. As people can see within these protests, it's only aggravation that expands and grows into this wonderful beast that becomes drama and trouble. But in any situation, if you kill that with kindness and empathy and love, it doesn't exist.
That is actually an expression, isn't it? To kill it with kindness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been left there. That's a matrix saying.
Well, Tina put a brilliant comment in the chat earlier. She put, think outside the box, you know, when we were talking about the...
Yeah.
That's the circling of our square. What was Alistair Curley saying? I am the finite square, and I wish to become one with the infinite circle. So circling the square, as it were, like the Xbox 360 that they put on there as well. You know, we've done a video on this kind of thing, like the square and stuff as well. It's like, really, you need to be like, was it Tina said?
Tina, yeah.
Outside, not just thinking outside the box, but coming out of the box that you've been put in. You know, a lot of people live in a box world, and they go work, home,
driving a car,
pub, and you know, shops, and that's all they do, is they go around in a box all day long, and that's every day of their life is the same. That's why we took to the camper, because we're like, you know, we're done with this. Like, and a lot of people were like, you've got a young baby, you know, what are you going to do for money, and we were just like, we're done with all this material. We had like a house that we were living in, both were working,
everything was left.
We just left it all, we gave it away, we were charitable, and we gave it all to charity or friends or family, you know, that needed it, and we left it all because we wanted to live this lifestyle and breathe it and actually be at one with it, because we knew that this was the righteous path in which we wanted to feel how it felt, walk the walk rather than just talk the talk. And we took that karma within ourselves and made it happen. And
what did it bring? Like
it just brought such humbleness. We were so humbled by the experience, and like we still now, like we always want to be, you know, in that situation where we have the least possessions we've got, the better, because we're then with nature, you know, nurturing our spirits and our souls, and that's where we feel at home.
The more you acquire, the less you have.
Yeah.
And if you keep that key for you, know, these are just bringing attachments to yourself that must be surrendered and let go to be one with the infinite.
Yeah, sure. Things that you have to occupy your mind with, effectively.
That's why Jesus was on the cross, because the cross is the unfolded cube. And again, another word that synchronizes, I just like to share quickly. And Louise, I'm sure that you're getting this now. The cube, it says CUB. So not only is the box, you're the box, it's the square which you are the cube, CUB. And this is the cross. See the full magnetic void of the double sine waves. This is the alpha, this is the omega, this is the longitudinal, latitudinal sine waves of magnetism. And you get this by freeing your energy centers through living virtuously. And this is your interactive mechanism within your biomechanical field that you have as your experience here in the realm of Earth. You have the choice, you have the freedom and the will to make these choices at any given time. And I suggest if you're looking for this higher form or this spiritual nature, the keys are here.
And that's what we're going to be doing, isn't it? In the program, we'll go into each area about, like we were talking about, obviously charity, and we'll go in depth into how you can be charitable in your relationships with your children. You can be charitable with energy, with money, you know, kind of really break it down for people if they come on the journey for us.
We would do a little bit of charity in any way that we can.
Yeah.
We live that way, but just for example, today we were going to the market and there was a man with a cup, and we tend to like to give these people things that they can use, so it was more fruit, and our little sweet X went and got some strawberries and some bananas.
He loves giving them fruit, you know, he takes it up and hands it, and they're like so humbled because he's like
so sweet. And he says, I like buying them food because if they're drug men, then they can't get their drugs and they can just have to heal him from the food.
Yeah.
Bless him. Great advice. Absolutely great advice. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Sorry, Michelle, I'm going to say with the...
Oh no, I was just coming on to just when we were speaking about the square just now, it's like linked to the letter D, and it's like the density and the form, isn't it, of like the
drama.
yeah, the universe, and like we don't want to be dragged down by that energetic lifestyle of just going around in that box world. We want to try and raise up, and that's what, when we were speaking about the 8 and the 4, the 4 is doubled to become the 8, and that's when we can really climb.
This is the tesseract, the hyper means beyond. Hyper extension is beyond extension. Hyper dimensional cube is the tesseract. It's beyond the dimension of the cube. This is you building your tesseract. If anybody's synchronizing the occult knowledge with all of this, this is the tesseract. The physical ether, double S.
And there's always something opposite. So like when the beings on like I say like the blue shift, the EL, become more enlightened, there's always going to be an equal and opposite reaction on the other side. So this is why we're seeing such a push-pull frequency at the moment, because it's really shifted in each direction. Yeah, so a lot of the enlightened beings are, like Eloise, you said, are really in their numbers coming out now and really, you know, protesting peacefully against this new world order that's coming in. And like you're seeing such a push-pull on either side that we are getting to the point now where it's like the balance needs to be created, and this is where the virtues really come in again, because if we create that balance for the people to see on this redshift side, this is where we can really draw their energy back and become centralized rather than far out.
Polarized.
Yeah.
That's why center is spelled C, enter, because that's the space of the void. This is where all life reciprocates and renews from the center.
The seed.
The void, the darkness. All life came from darkness.
And if you look at this depiction again, it's the 0, and the 1 is in the center, and then it comes out to the 2, and that's where you get the torus, and then the 3, which is your trinity, your golden ratio, your golden triangle, and then we come into the 4, which is the matter, the form, and then the phi physical, the phi cycle.
Phi cycle, 5 senses, apparent.
And then the 6 is the unity of the masculine and feminine, which we spoke of last session.
Which brings
Balance.
7, which is S even,
And then,
which is your sine wave that is now even, which then moves
activates the chakras, which brings you on to the 8, which is your climber.
And that's why 8 is the shape of a hyperboloid. And this is the magnetic flow of flux.
The ladder brings you to the 9, which is your
portal.
Special eye, your real eye, your real eyes.
This is why the word wink, we wink. And what does it mean? We're becoming one eye. If you look at the word wink, it's win K. K is 11.
Oh, is
it on there?
Yeah.
K is 11, you see? Which is the L even.
Which is the twin.
And how do you win K? By becoming single-eyed. This is balance.
The 10 is the net. So again, what we were speaking of earlier, which is don't get caught on the subject in the net of the brain in the 10.
The object, really, the objects, the concepts,
the matrix coding, and
that's tricks of the mother's tricks.
And when we build the temples here, this is when we can truly become one with the divine, which is the 12, the L within us.
Why two on the left hand side? You've got like an 11 either side of the person's.
That's the temple. So the 11 is the twin pillars, 1 and 1.
L even. These are the 2 L's.
Our temples
that we speak of. Have you got the ball there? The 2 L balls.
Yeah. So the 2 L's.
These are the 2 L's that are represented as the temple. The red shift, blue shift within the magnetic mind of ourselves. But we are experiencing life as a restriction because we have found ourselves only on the alpha wave here.
So basically balancing the left and right hand side
constantly.
Of the brain.
Has to be centralized rather than ping pong all the time, like we were speaking of with the duality last time. We need to really bring it back into unity and really focus on that path to enlightenment, and that's the only way out as such.
See, I'm just quickly drawing this for you. It's matter and spirit. You see the AO and the EL. Okay, and just going to synchronize a small bit of language. If you see dual or duality, in the word dual, we were speaking of D as form, and then U, AL. So to be dual is the form of you in AL, and this creates duality. And duality is a dual, which is the form of you, AL, I, number 9, third eye, tie. So it's tied to the third eye, and it's just the aspect of the dual nature here with the AL.
The alpha wave.
This is why the A is that, because this is the alpha wave, and
we
you're
need to
missing
be on the Z.
The Zion. This is the holy place. And these 2 waves are to do with magnetism, and if anybody can do that together, they're really
And Michelle, I'd love you to maybe with the drawings that you've got, obviously I know you're going to be explaining that a bit more in the program as well, with like break that down for everybody. That would be
got them digitized.
We've Josh's beautiful sister has been doing some digital art for us, so we've got all of those, and I'll be going through those on the system of numerology section as well when we put it into the course with what you're doing there as well, Eloise. So yeah, I've got all of these linked into a lot of the work that we're doing for that.
Yes. Truly opening your eyes to the subtle realm that has existed and been ever present but inside of yourselves and all of this experience, but it's been unfathomable by the frequencies and vibrations that have been set previous. climbing the ladder, climbing the vibration, and you will then be given the eyes to see everything.
Guys, everybody listening, what our plan and intention is if you come in, when you come and join us in the program, we're going to be taking this gnosis and then breaking it down, so it's really what's the word I'm looking
Manageable.
for? Yeah, kind of. Well, there's a word, but it's not coming. So it's not palatable is not the right word.
Easily digestible for the mind.
Yeah, so you can really
action, just to take actions and simple actions. And if one is unconscious and cannot see this, even if they don't see this and truly take these actions, I guarantee the raising of awareness will be so profound. And if someone hasn't done this, and maybe the virtuous way, there's two dimensions that are going to help you grow really fast. This is the way that you consume food, and this is the way that you are virtuous. If you begin the virtuous life and you haven't consumed living foods yet, the virtuous life will naturally lead you to living foods. If you're doing living foods, and naturally lead you to understanding of the virtuous life. And these two here create a wonderful electromagnetic being, full of energy, full of life, and no longer reciprocating death on the alpha wave, which is just a materialistic dead pulling vibration. And the other way is freedom, life, experience, the spiritual, the next evolution of your matter.
Once you've reached the EL, that's the step through to the balance then. So you've got the two poles, the negatives and positives.
CT, and then EM. EM's electromagnetism, and these physical electromagnetic pools from the two sides.
And they create the...
And as you look at the Baphomet that you looked at, the horns represent these spirals of the two poles of the mind. We had a few comments.
Great if we could break that down as well in the program, because I'm staring at it. I put it as a screensaver on my computer. But as yet, I haven't had the breakthrough.
the breasts on the cowman, as above, so below. This represents the hermaphrodite, the male and female. So this is the balance of the male and female, and you have the sun at the base.
The stars again. I'll just quickly show you. I mean, when Josh said that then as well, like the masculine and feminine is the star, the six-pointed star, and that's actually the symbol for the heart chakra. So we've got one here. This is the coming together of the three lower energies merging with the three upper energies. And when we said earlier, Eloise, about speaking from the heart, this is truly where the energies unite, and this is where you should be coming from. And once you've broke free here, this is where these ones get released, and you can then truly come onto the magnificence of the highest level, the L.
And there is no coincidence. This is why heart is spelled the vibration of E and A, full magnetic physical. And the heart space is only found by the AL and the EL becoming balanced.
And the heart is the anagram for the earth. EA, RT, and then H.
There's a vibration.
On this earth, that's what we're trying to do at the moment.
And how do we do it? It's just pure balance.
But the more human beings that do this work, the more balanced the planet will get.
Absolutely.
Join us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the more freedom, there's nothing more beneficial to humanity than you evolving yourself. People like to change, or the ego wants to pull other beings in with them on their journey.
Yeah.
But that's the egoic journey, not the hero's journey. The hero's journey is to free themselves. And when you free yourselves, you unlock the world.
It's not about pushing your energy on someone else. It's about bringing them with us. The push-pull, again, we don't want that environment. It's not about, this is the right way. This is what we believe. This is what we need.
That's why the banners on the Baphomet speak of love and will.
It's care and attention and guidance. It's gentleness. It's lovingness. It's not about we know this, we want you to be this, because everyone's on their own journey at their own level. And it's about bringing them up, rising them up, and not about pushing them down and suppressing them even more. And a lot of people say, oh, I've lost a lot of friends and this and that because of the way that, I'm preaching to them. But it's about acceptance, like Josh says, accepting the way that they are and the journey that they're on at the moment, and then elevating them, lifting them, and not suppressing their, you know, beliefs or their thoughts at that time.
L, Eve, 8. Can you hear the phonetics within inside of it? This is the L, and you even with the 8. This is to elevate, and then that becomes level with the L's, these 2 L's. L, Eve, L. And these are the 2 L's to become level.
That's your level again, the level picture that we spoke of before. And then you become light, the 144,000. And that's where we're lifting. That's what we're lifting beings towards. That's the sight, the light.
And this is for the intellectual mind. See, the presentation of this information here. Someone is so built up on the intellect. This is almost a new way into their aspects to be able to bring them into the spiritual side, because most high intellectual men stay trapped.
Very focused on the intellect, the brain, you know, the
Completely lost.
You see a lot of beings online as well that are teaching really good things on like high level, like magnetism and all of this kind of stuff. Yeah. They're very headstrong, and it's like they're doing great things, you know, for beings all over, but in actual fact they're stuck in that system of like intellect that Josh was talking about. And this is where we had to break Josh's down, because he was there at that point where he was like so intellectual, and he could reel off any bit of information,
anything. It was there,
but it was to the point where it was like overtaking everything else.
The spiritual side of the spiritual side of the dimension into the spiritual side is completely overshadowed by the intellectual mind.
Yeah.
And that must be surrendered. So when you do, I can promise you there is something more beautiful. See, this is when the language came.
I've never had that problem.
It came.
No, to be honest though, like women is a different aspect. This is what we say about the masculine side of it. It's a very masculine thing that you find, you know, a lot of the teachers that are online, the male teachers are very kind of intellectual, headstrong, and that's when they've got to break those walls and that box down of what we were speaking of. But the women are very like on an emotional level more so, and it's a very different aspect.
You'll find that information has been handed to you. See, information is previous. Information is not new. It's not something that's original to you. And in the moment I handed over information, I was given a completely new aspect of life, dimensions as found through observation. The language that I see here, this is not anywhere. Right. No, there's no scripture. This is completely original. Yeah. And the original eyesight here is brought truth to language. Now, if we were able to share this with universities and things who had a certain capacity to feel this, I think this would have a massive impact on everything. But this is a very high occult knowledge, just as the Baphomet is. And there was a few people who made some comments last strong after we spoke about the Baphomet, and they were a bit concerned because they've grown up with the Catholic and they feel like cult. The New Age religion is Antichrist, and that picture is of Antichrist. That's another form of your intellectual mind trapping you into a belief system. See, all information itself can raise you or it can trap you, and it's your choice to do with it as you will. And that's the key to the Baphomet. Love under will, and all is will. This will that they speak of, true reverse will. It is law. It's law. This is the law. The W-I-double-L.
What he says is is love under will. So like love is the law. Mm-hmm. Love is our law. This is what we live by. But love under will, your true will is your truth. The love
lies under the will.
The love raises you from the heart, and your true will project you.
Do you know when most people fall trapped is by surrendering their will to another energy form? You see, you'll have huge demons.
So when you're saying love under will, it depends on the will, whether it's positive or projecting out. No, you have to explain.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. So the love is our universal love.
Yeah.
Everything is love.
Yeah.
If you base everything on your love and your heart, everything is
It's the
encapsulated.
vibration of God. This is love.
So this is our universal law.
That's why you reverse love and it spells evil. Evil.
The opposite. Yeah, so our so we've got the love is our universal truth, and then our true will is how we express.
And to express oneself honestly, as Bruce Lee said, if anybody's a philosopher seeking, they must have come across Bruce Lee. To express oneself honestly is one of the hardest things we can do. Day by day, we can be manipulated by the external energies of someone else oppressing us. If we get oppressed or we don't express ourselves honestly, we will find a thought form manifesting itself as a demon, which is hindering your vibration, and it will completely bring you down. To find that freedom in that moment is to express yourself so honestly that you're being you, and in the purpose of you being you, you correct the energy of the other people that are being suppressed and the energies placed back upon them for their evolution. And
so how do you express yourself virtuously? Say, so for the moment you've got people at such different levels. Like I had this inter situation recently, and it was difficult to communicate with a person because they were coming at it from such a different perspective. So I try to be virtuous in my interaction with them, but at the same time I could feel my voice, I wasn't speaking my truth because I was dropping down almost.
And you're feeling the vibrational block within the throat.
So you touched your throat then, and that was your throat chakra closing because you're not speaking your truth. And the image that I showed you, Eloise, about the chakras is that you were closing an energy center to express something to someone that you believed was at a lower conscious state. So you have to speak your truth no matter what, because this is where your energy is affected, not theirs.
So how do you do that and do it in a way that they would understand? Because I kind of felt like if I expressed my truth, they wouldn't have a bloody clue what I was talking about.
But your job is not to be able to think for other people or bring yourself down to their level. Your job is to express you. So a vibration that will attach itself to you will be of the vibration that needs to be with you. And if you're not doing it, you're having a false manifestation of all of this, thus bringing on negative entities that attach to you and suck you. So this is why your vibration is now set at the level it is. If you choose not to agree with it, you'll find entities holding on to you, trying to bring you down. You have a negative.
You have another test now in that same aspect. There'll be another situation. There'll be another situation where you're going to have to make a choice whether to react in your freeing way or your suppressing way again, because the energy that you've created around that situation is a closed energy. So the chakra that is supposed to be activated has now been closed, and your energy will not flow until you put that right again, that balance. So the universe will give you another little test in that situation, and then you're going to have to decide again whether the being in a stance or not is
it's up to that individual being.
So speak your truth, but in a kind, gentle, virtuous way.
If I was to try to change my truth, I wouldn't be the same being. I would not have the finesse or the flow that expresses itself through this divine medium. I would be thinking for other people, and in that thinkingness, it's dropped me straight from the flow of God into an identification, and that identification there will block me, and I will have no channel to the divine.
Wow. So that's a great point to finish on, because we are coming up to time. So for people listening, kind of the takeaways of this evening, obviously we've been talking about the virtues, we've been talking about how we can be charitable in many different types of situations, and really what we're talking about here, even with speaking our truth, we can be charitable in our truth. We're still speaking and standing for our truth, but we're doing it in a charitable way that hopefully can be received.
It's your own time, it's your own essence, and the greatest charity is found within coming into a present moment and then giving yourself and expressing yourself honestly. Freedom and expansion for all who surround you, and that's the key.
The energy every time.
Energy.
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 And so obviously the way we like to finish these off is by saying to people that they should not stay safe, but stay present.
Stay present. You are the greatest gift. And you know, on this journey, we continue to help as many people as we can on a day-to-day basis, don't we? Healing is incredible. So many people are finding this wonderful healing through the truth about living foods and the diets and fasting, and it's wonderful to be able to support that. And if you guys can support us in the creation of the future for our food forests, healing centers, and you know, the trusts that are going to be created and moving forward into this wonderful expansion, this is why we're doing it. You know, the information can be found, but if you wish to support something or someone,
information like this is not readily available. You know, I've been a seeker for a long time, and the information that you guys are delivering is not readily in one place and easily available, and it will be in this Virtuous X Life program. So absolutely come and join us. And then what's the next virtue that we will be covering? 2 weeks time, 10th of May.
Yeah,
diligence.
We'll do diligence.
There's a little smile there.
Diligence is a wonderful virtue, and you'll see by the act of true diligence, you will bring forth your manifestations in the shortest way possible. And all aspects of your life that create a form of rushing due to the impatient nature, this also creates the flow of this organic life that will happen for you.
So everything's a ripple effect, isn't it? Everything has a ripple effect, literally.
Permeation.
Remember when you drop that stone in the ocean?
Yeah.
The ripples.
And that's what's happening here. These energy centers are just fragmented light, all set for this wonderful vibration. And we can have this experience and run in the physical nature. We can break the bound areas, beginning in the east, traveling around this wonderful circle, unboxing ourselves, putting ourselves on the top. Thus finding
we need an image about that with a human in a box and
Yeah.
themselves.
They've got like cage around their head, haven't they? A lot of these.
Yeah. When you truly understand the matrix and every aspect of it, and you hear the Xbox 360, for example.
Oh yeah, of course.
Balance, the box 360, and it's there for us to see.
Wow.
Beautiful, beautiful. But
thank you, Michelle. Thank you as ever. So lovely to have you with us.
Oh, I love being here.
and thank you everybody that's joined us already. It's such a wonderful thing to see you support this journey for us, and there's great things that are going to be coming from this. Sister Eloise is an incredible being, and working with you has been amazing.
Yeah,
really fun,
really good.
Really enjoying it. So yeah, 1st of May. So we'll see you 10th of May. We'll be back. And we will be unpacking diligence. In the meantime, stay present, guys, and stay virtuous. And we will see you in 2 weeks' time.
We love you all.